may be an Easter day. Amen.
Mary and her friends went to clean Jesus. They were wearing silly dresses. Mary's friend got scared. There was an angel. Jesus was alive. They were really, really happy. They checked where Jesus was gone. They got excited again. They screamed. They said goodbye to the angel. They went on a long walk to tell everyone. Mary said goodbye to her friend and went to see a garden. She smelled flowers and then she sat down. Jesus was looking at the flowers. He was pretending to be a gardener. Silly Jesus. Jesus likes flowers. And then Jesus gave Mary a big hug. They were both happy. The end.
That's how Tabitha tells it. Here's what the Gospel of Luke says. On the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they did not find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood before them. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He's not here. He is risen. Remember how he told you while he was still with you in Galilee. The Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again." Then they remembered his words. When they came back from the tomb, they told all these things to the 11 and to all the others. It was Mary Magdalene, Joanna, Mary the mother of James, and the others with them who told this to the apostles. But they did not believe the women, because their words seemed to them like nonsense. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away, wondering to himself what had happened. There's 4 versions of this story through the Gospels, right? And there's a big difference between what we watched, the way Tabitha tells it, based on the other Gospels, and the way Luke tells it. Isn't there a big difference? Tabitha's version is full of joy and excitement, enthusiasm. And Luke's is, nobody believes in Luke's version. Nobody believes. And just think of how many times somebody would have said, "I don't believe it." The women come to the tomb, the stones rolled away. "I don't believe it." Angels show up to tell them that Jesus is alive, just like he said, "I don't believe it." Angels, can you believe that? They go and tell the other disciples, "We don't believe you." In fact, if you're a fan of David Hayward, who's better known as the Naked Pastor, his cartoons are really quite amazing. He has a great cartoon for today that's the women all standing to one side and then the men standing to the other side, and the caption is just one of the men saying, "Okay, thanks for that, we'll take it from here." nobody believes. Nobody believes. In fact, if you put all of the stories together, nobody believes until they actually see Jesus. You know what I have trouble believing? Butterflies. Seriously, those fuzzy little wormy things that eat all your trees and bushes and stuff, and then somehow they build this little house thing that, like the cocoon, and then out pops a butterfly that's beautiful and flies away. I know there's a scientific explanation for that. I know there is. Don't ruin it for me. I know there's an explanation for all of that. Explain to me how that fuzzy little funny-looking thing becomes something of beauty and joy and amazement. I know there's a scientific explanation for the process, but what's the explanation for the wonder and the beauty and the joy? So I think that's what is going on in this story. We tell a story where something so amazing and wondrous happens that everyone's initial response to it is, I don't believe it, until when? When they see the concrete proof of how something might have happened. But you give that story to kids, and the first thing that they do is tell you about the wonder and joy. So maybe it's not so much that they didn't believe as they didn't see. Maybe instead of saying, I don't believe it, what they really meant was, I can't see it. I can't understand it yet. And maybe that's part of what's going on here. I mean, think about the whole. I love butterflies as a symbol for this, because think about you can't just have butterfly. You got to get there, right? You got to go through that whole stage of you got to eat stuff and prepare, and then you got to go through that whole cocoon stage. And don't for a minute think everything's all just like instant snap your fingers and I'm a butterfly in the cocoon, because it's gross. Stuff happens in there, and they go through a whole process. It's icky and messy. And then the butterfly has to force their way out before they can fly off with these beautiful wings and stuff. It's not just about this moment of Jesus is alive. It's about how we got here too, right? It's about the life of Jesus and what we learned from the life of Jesus. It's about struggling through the humanity of that last week and that death, and getting to this point where Jesus is alive because Jesus is alive in you and me. That's where we see Jesus. The story that Tabitha tells, the one with the gardener, she may well have seen Jesus, or, and hear me out on this, she might have seen a gardener who looked like Jesus and sounded like Jesus, because that person was living Jesus into the world. The love and grace and compassion, the joy, the wonder that is Jesus is in all of us. And we see Jesus in the world when we live Jesus into the world. Jesus is alive in you and me.